Agency59 is about sanity. It's about a place where you can work and do your best work, but not get overwhelmed by the work. You can go home and turn it off. You know, we get people who don't want to turn it off because they love the business, but over the long term, I think you have to have a balance, and we're not the only agency to talk like that. A lot of folks believe that, but I think we're about understanding it's for the long haul. So, you know, we're 51 years old now, we're an independent, we're, you know, really proudly independent, so we get to kind of make the rules. And I think we're about creating a culture that respects people, respects the work, clears the air of all the bullshit, all the politics, and is super efficient about getting down to the right solution and hiring the kind of people that we want to work with every day. What we don't do a lot of navel gazing here. We don't do a lot of you know, off-sites and, you know, day-long deep dives into our brand and what we're trying to do. You know, we did a rebranding a couple of years ago. We spent some time thinking about, you know, what we want to be at that time. But really, we've always had an inward focus, and we're more charged up by solving the problems of the day for our clients than really trying to figure out, you know, what's our persona out there. You know, how do we want today's 22-year-olds to think of A59? Doesn't really motivate us a whole lot, and I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think it's just kind of the way we're wired, right? So we spend a lot more time thinking about our clients' problems than trying to craft an image for Agency59, you know, in the marketplace. So that may mean we're off the radar. It probably does. I hear that a fair bit. I also hear when people come into the boardroom and see the work or visit the website, they, you know, consistently will say, hey, the work's a lot better than I thought. Oh, wow, you guys do good work. And, you know, I guess it's a bit of a drag that people don't know that, but, you know, we're not really setting about to change that, because our number one happiness in life is to kind of fix our clients' problems, and then we go home.
So one of the recent things I saw from you guys was Amnesty International of Canada,
right.
The work that you just had out there,
yeah.
About like you know, what people aren't, you know, what people won't do when they're watching. Yeah. So what was the idea behind that?
It's a great story how that all came together. We had there was a contest put out last spring by a media company. OBN partnered with Clear Channel and invited agencies to put in rock band teams, and the winning team would get free media at Dundas Square. So that's how the whole thing started. Some of our folks put together a band and they won, and they asked them beforehand, you know, what client do we want to give a free campaign to, because the prize was free campaign at Dundas Square. So I thought, well, Amnesty International would be perfect. We've worked with them for a long time. They're totally deserving. And so they came back and said they won. So we thought, oh, well, now we have to do a campaign for Amnesty. So you know, we got on the phone with our client and presented some concepts, and the one that we went with and produced is really kind of at the core of Amnesty, right? Like, if people watch, then the violence stops, and you know, Amnesty gets people to watch by writing letters, by letting dictators know that, hey, you know, you've got this person in prison because of their political or religious or sexual beliefs, and that ain't cool. You know, you have to release them. People always say, well, that can't work. There's no way a dictator's going to listen to a couple of letters, but if enough pressure mounts, they actually do react and respond to international pressure. So that's the card that Amnesty plays. So the spot we came up with, it was really right at that idea that if people watch, the violence stops. And you know, we got Henry Less and Holiday Films to produce the thing, and it was
things. So, you know, what kind of work overall are you most happy about recently in the last, say, year?
In the last year, the crash bubbles we did for the bat, we really like. It's YouTube only, right? There's no TV, and we created 8 videos. We're still releasing them now. We just released a Halloween video. We got a Christmas video. And these characters are dashboard bobblehead characters that have been all messed up because they've been in car accidents. We brought them to life, and they've all got kind of issues, and they're all troubled. And I love the darkness of it. And we got to write that darkness because it was for YouTube and it wasn't for TV. So they're kind of like the misfit toys, and they've all got a bit edge to them. So I love the darkness there. That was a lot of fun.
How do you put that out there? How do they put themselves out there?
Well, you gotta, show the passion for sure. I mean, there's a lot of students will tell you they will do anything to get in. So, you have to recognize, I think, what other people are saying and how other people are positioning and pitching themselves. So you have to understand that. I always tell students, look at other books, look at the quality of work, look what you're up against. And beyond that, look at the other tactics others are using and figure out how do I separate myself from that. But generally, the people that I end up bringing on, they've been maybe a bit more persistent. A lot of times it's timing. I know students are going to hate to hear that. It's just being in the right place at the right time. So if that's the case, then you'd argue that it does take persistence, because March might not be the right time, but if you call again in July, it might be the right time. So I still like snail mail. I think a really smart mailer piece is ignored by a lot of people, but everyone I know in this business still opens their mail. It's really easy to ignore a link. It's really easy to, not click onto a website that you're sent. I often will archive them all, and I'll spend a half a day going through them all, but that's not ideal either, I think, if I was on the other side of the table. And then it comes down to, at the end of the day, when you have my attention, you make sure that the book is everything you want it to be. You let the book do the talking, obviously. And about the book itself, I've seen a lot of patterns emerging in the last few years, and I've been saying the same thing to people. Don't put too much ambient in, because ambient to me is a bit lazy. I know a lot of creative directors are saying the opposite. They want to see a ton of ambient and gorilla. I find that, I always say this, if you drop a pencil on the ground, I could write 6 different messages on that pencil for 6 different clients and already be halfway interesting, because I've already engaged. So I think that's a bit lazy. I think it's a lot harder to just take a piece of paper and start with that and do something cool with a piece of paper. So I like to see traditional ads still. But then the other thing I'm not seeing, which is really surprising to me, is the idea of online thinking. And it's obviously not a banner ad. It's obviously not a website design, because that's a designer's portfolio. But why aren't young creatives thinking about how to solve problems online? And a lot of people are saying that for sure. I mean, every creative director will tell you that. And no one shop has the corner on interactive. Any shop that's in business today is doing it. I think the days when agencies opened their interactive divisions are thankfully long behind us. Every agency, it's all integrated. Every team, every art director, every copywriter, on any given day is going to work on a billboard brief, a TV brief, or an online brief. It's all the same stuff, right? It's all about storytelling. So, you just have to make sure that your book reflects that. So, having said that, it's all the same stuff. There are opportunities with online, like I said, with Crash Bubbles, right, to tell a deeper story, to maybe go a bit darker. You do have a more engaged audience. So, you just have to show me that you're good in the media that you consume yourself, because chances are, if you're 22 and you're a student, you're probably consuming a ton of social media. You're probably using things more than I am. I would hope you are. So why don't you throw that back into your book?
And I hear books mentioned a lot, like almost consistently, but not everyone necessarily goes into advertising with that capability of having one, because you don't always go in or start in as wanting to be a creative.
Sure.
How does somebody like on the account side or strategic side, when everyone talks about books, how do they actually get noticed when they may not necessarily have one to actually show?
No, for sure, and it's beyond a resume for sure, but I think that person needs to, I know at our place, our young account people, the ones breaking in, are being counted on to do a lot of heavy lifting on Facebook, a lot of the day-to-day social media maintenance. Because the thing about social media is it is rigorous, right? And you were saying this earlier, right, with Twitter, right? Like, you've got to have someone engaging, and you've got to have someone on there, working it daily, or it's going to die. So I think a lot of our younger account people we're looking to them to do that. So then what does that mean? Well, I guess if you're an account person and you want to get someone's attention, my partner Al Skornianki would be the guy that be looking to hire account people. That's what he's looking for. So if that's what we're looking for, chances are other agencies looking for it too. Then how do you communicate that skill set? Well, why don't you use the tools at hand beyond an email? Get creative, get smart, get innovative, right? At least send a message through LinkedIn instead of through email, right? I mean, people are checking their LinkedIn accounts daily. Send them something on Facebook. So. No, obviously not, right? I mean, and that's something every agency tells you now too, right? Like there's no more creative roles. Everybody's creative. I mean, there's so much, BS that we spew out all the time in the agencies, right? I mean, that's what drives me nuts, right? Every agency can say the exact same thing, right? Like, and that would be one of those cliches that we all say. No one is creative anymore. Everyone's creative. Media is the new creative, but it's all true, right? Those are cliches because they're true. So. If you're a smart, enterprising student and you're burning to get in the business, then you should research that agency. So, for instance, at Agency59, let's say you're really motivated by strategy and great strategic thinking, then you should pick up on our commercial, like let's say for Interact, right? We have that little armored bank truck following people around. Well, if you're not a creative person and you want to be an art director, but you're an aspiring account person, you go, well, that's an interesting strategy. You know what I mean? I'm forgetting the creative. Okay, it's cute, but the strategy behind that idea that they've taken this big pipe to move money around that every Canadian is aware of, Interact, and they've reduced it to something like that. So, a good account person would say to themselves, that obviously isn't just a creative team. That started with a great strategy. So then the next thing they should do is, who did the strategy at 859? It wouldn't take long if you go to Tina Fernandez, because it's on our website. Right? VP Strategy. Give her a call. Say, Tina, I love your Interact commercial that you guys have done, and I'd love to hear more about the strategy behind it. She'd take that call. Absolutely, because you've already engaged her on something that's real and meaningful, right? You haven't just given a generic pitch. So I think that works across the board. Whether you want to get in the media, creative, you don't make a generic pitch. If you're going to call me, say something about crash bubbles, of course we've all got egos. Of course we want to know that our work's being seen and that you like it. Don't bullshit us. Make it, be true, right? Because there's a lot of work we're not proud of here, and so we're not just going to say talk about the work we love, but for sure, I think do your homework and get people to talk about what we do every day and what they're proud of.